commission should be starting in about 3 minutes.
We'll be at
The Redevelopment Commission, Anderson, Indiana. We're at the City Building, the Redevelopment Commission meeting room. There is a link on the agenda posted above the meeting, above the live feed, and the city should be feeding it live also. Oh, we can hear now? Well, see, it won't be no problem then. I'll sit here and be quiet. No, I'm gonna be quiet. That's what y'all said on the rules. I read the rules. Now, what is this thing? He just put this here. Pete did. Pete. Oh, I was trying to see what this was.
So on the speaker, got a microphone here, got 4 mics.
Oh, cool. Well, the Pete Batar had to come in and finally got somebody.
So if you want to speak, you can just speak and it'll show up on this.
Okay, are they filming it live? Is it on the city site?
I mean, it's just for us.
Okay.
It's not tied in.
Okay. Okay. Broderick here, did y'all give him something so we could hear him? Won't be no problems as long as I can hear. Now, if I can't hear, it's gonna be some problems. But Pete done passed this little thing out so people can hear and stay in their seat, so there won't be any problems. This is the Redevelopment Commission meeting. It should be starting any second. Hey, Kelly. Look what we got over here. Pete put that over here. A little microphone if you want to speak. And everybody should be able to hear.
At this time, I'd like to call the agenda
messing up already.
Commission November 25th, 2025 to order. You want to take a roll call?
Richard Symmes,
Present. He's here. He's here.
Kenneth Davenport,
Present.
David Oates,
Present.
Pete Batar,
Present.
Joanna Collette.
Joanna, where you at, girl?
Minutes.
They must have a school board meeting.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the minutes. Is there any corrections? No corrections? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, let's go to the next thing is financials. No votes. Everybody just take a look at them, see if you got any questions. That's what that's what it is.
Oh, I can't hear you great.
No, we should get the draw in December. Okay, everybody have a chance to look at the invoices. Let's go to the financials. Let's go to the invoices. Anybody got any questions on them? Motion's been made and seconded to approve the bills as presented. Any questions? No, see no questions. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Business. Resolution pledging funds for the park project. Mr. Mayor, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. President. Got a couple things to pass out to you guys real quick.
Give him the mic. Ooh. I guess anything for the public, I guess not. The mayor is getting ready to speak. Guess there's not enough. Ken gets to sit at the table.
Mr. President, as you know, previously the redevelopment commission has pledged $20 million towards that Village Park project. Since that time, we've been working with engineers to develop the plan, the site plan, as well as we've been working with construction management teams with respect to the method of delivery, which we right now are anticipating would be through what's called bill operate transfer. The purpose of bill operate transfer is to basically hold down the cost to keep there from doing change orders. Prices may come in a little higher on the front end, but at the same time, once you lock it down, they can't do a change order on it later. So we thought it might be advantageous, since this is such a large project. The documents that I've presented to you is a copy. The thing that's on this size sheet of paper is a copy of the overall site plan for the project. It is subject to change to some degree, but it gives a pretty good indication of what you might expect out of this project. It is, this is a 30% design at this point that you have in front of you there. This was provided by HWC. In the meantime, which is an engineering firm. In the meantime, we have applied to the Indiana Economic Development Corporation, IEDC, for a $4 million Ready 2.0 grant of $4 million to put towards the project. Previously, the IEDC, through what was called Ready 1.0, we did receive $1.5 million from them previously for this project, which we utilized to relocate the water lines from out in Athletic Park that ran basically through the middle of the park, right by the pool, and then into the street and then down towards the water plant. Those needed to be relocated for a couple of reasons. One was the anticipation of rebuilding of this park, but also we needed to do it on the other side of 8th Street because of the interceptor system, which is part of our long-term control plan. We have presented this project to the IEDC for the obvious amenities that it will bring to the city, and we have regional draw to bring people in as an economic development tool to help continue to uplift our community. But we've also been able to use it as an environmental Better for the River project, and that it will eventually lead to the elimination of 2 of our CSOs, which is the combined sewer overflow that we have into the river. And so that part of the project was also partially funded through Ready with that $1.5 million I was talking about. And then we had about another $7.5 million that we utilized in that part of the project from water pollution control dollars. So that's about a $9 million project. There's a second phase of that that's scheduled to take place later next year that will basically lead to the completion of the elimination of the 2 overflows. So again, somewhat separate, distinct from what we're doing here, but it's all kind of part of the bigger package, just so everybody knows that. So part of this process with Ready, and then obviously as we move down the pipe with respect to our project, we're getting more and more realistic about what the cost of this project will be. Working with Meyer & Agam, which is another engineering company that puts dollars and cents, if you will, on the various projects. Utilizing the materials that we came up with our original scope, they came up with a price tag that was really just more than we thought we could handle, around $54 million. And so we cut that back in some respects, not to take away from the project's main thrust, but to try to get a little bit more realistic in what we thought we could reasonably afford, but we provide the same amenities that we're looking for this for Athletic Park. So what we've done to this point is we have basically a $45 million project now, and we are looking forward to the possibility. We're kind of getting to the final. There's no guarantee, obviously, about this grant money, but we have made it through multiple hurdles, and we are down to just a handful of projects that they are considering to be funded, and ours is still one of those. They can fund all of them as requested, and have the money available that's been set aside for the Ready project through state legislation previously. So it won't be a lack of money that would cause us not to get that. They are looking at possibilities to the extent they don't fund projects, that they may pour some into the Indianapolis area. It's not gotten so much during this process with the ready. If you don't know, you probably remember, but it's been a while. City of Anderson joined what's called CIRDA, C-I-R-D-A, probably 3 years ago now, I guess, maybe 4 years. But anyway, it's a regional group that's made up of multiple cities across the state of Indiana. It's grown, probably more in my view than it should have, but it is what it is, and so it's grown pretty big now. It probably takes up about a third of the major communities in the state of Indiana, so kind of the middle section of the state, if you will. So Indianapolis is in it, we're in it, Elwood's in it now, Fishers, Carmel, so there's a lot of competitors, so to speak. But we started this process pretty early on with them, and so a lot of the newer cities have been added to the CIRDA group, are not in this project application because of the fact that they got in really late. So again, we're one of a handful that are still left. So I think there's a reasonable possibility to get that. I've been in communication quite frequently with the person that's sort of guiding us with this project on behalf of the CIRDA group. So we hope to get that, but at the same time, obviously that price tag is more than what we originally pledged years and years ago. And so we have also, and I've worked with Doug on this, we've looked at our general fund, we looked at our funding needs, and what we're anticipating is about $2.6 million coming out of the general fund. That will be over a period of a couple of years, and then the balance coming out of redevelopment funds. And most likely, even though this is a pledge for those amounts of money that are requested, most likely this will be done through a bonding process. Given the income that we bring in on an annual basis from our TIF revenue, we felt pretty comfortable that we would be able to bond on this and really do it in a manner that would not adversely affect any other projects that we're doing. Because of the amount of bond, we're probably talking $2.5 million or so a year over a period of the bonding period, most likely 20 years. And that's probably how it would be paid back, and that would be better than actually tipping into cash. If you don't have cash, it'd be better not to dip into cash and carry it debt. After I'm done, I know Mr. Lincoln's going to present to you some proposed projects that we're working on, some commitments we already have as well, as far as laying out for 2026, what our expected expenditures could be. And so some of that would be paid for by cash, some of that will be paid for through bonding, and Greg will explain that to you later. But that's what our request is, that's what it's about, and I also need this affirmation, if you will, in order that I can supplement my EDC application, as I had told them previously that we had this in place by year's end, and that way they can have this as well, because they want to make sure everybody has all the ducks in a row before they pull the trigger on the final funding mechanism. The other document that we have is a little smaller document, which I apologize for the size of the font, which I guess may cost to read. But anyway, it gives you some idea of the budget for the project, and out to the side it gives you the total amount that's attributable to each of the aspects of this, and it covers everything from obviously construction, and also takes through the design and miscellaneous soft costs and things like that. So it's really total cost of everything. And this does have contingencies built into it, so this could actually be higher than what the ultimate outcome would be. We're trying to make it as realistic as we possibly can. Again, the project itself, which again is sort of set forth on the show and tell pictures, if you will, will include pool amenities, lazy river. It would have several breakout areas for kids and families to be able to utilize. It also has a great lawn that would be able to accommodate all sorts of different events that we have throughout the year, whether it's city-driven or nonprofit driven, whoever it may be. And then also there's huge playground features, splash pads, a lot of lighting, and then also some common areas where we can have, I say we being anybody in the city, can have receptions, birthday parties, things like that. And we set it up in a way that we use it year-round rather than just in the summer, because we obviously have shorter seasons here in Indiana for water type parties. So we wanted to make it something that would also fit in for a 365 day a year use. So, any questions?
A lot of questions.
Go ahead, Pete.
First of all, I appreciate the pictures and the budget. I'm new to this project, so we have not talked about this at all this year, since I joined the commission. Clearly, something needs to be done with Athletic Park. I know that this has been in the works for some period of time, I'm not sure how long, 5 years, maybe longer. But do we have any marketing data or anything to say who's going to use this? What's the anticipated use? Just sort of the intake side of it, like who are we building this for? We've done many projects in this city, west side, everywhere, where we think people are going to use it and they just sit empty and they get dilapidated and they get unused and they get graffitied and nothing ever happens with it.
Tell me what those are.
Well, there's a skate park on the west side, for example. Very little use. I've been by that thing 1,000 times and seen maybe 1 or 2 people in the entire time I've ever been.
I'll call you sometime, come over. We actually have quite a few folks that utilize that.
I understand that, but this is an order of magnitude more money.
Oh, no doubt about it, but I guess I would disagree with on your assessment of that. There are times, obviously, like you go by a park, you'll find times and down times, but, skate park is quite a bit used. The skate park portion of that was not modified too much, a little bit, not a lot. It's pretty much the same as it was previously. Everything else over there is basically brand new. The splash pad gets a lot of activity. The pickleball courts, so forth, do not get as much activity as I'd like them to see, which they get more, they work tennis and pickleball. And then also we have basketball courts that they get quite a bit of use as well. So there are certain amenities that I would agree with you that doesn't get as much attention to play as it probably should, and they're heavily expensive with the street.
I guess when we're talking about this kind of level of investment, we want some kind of an ROI. And I just don't see a business plan, I don't see anything here that says, here's what the marketing study has shown, here's what it's gonna do for the economic development of the city, here's the draw that it's gonna be, given the infrastructure of pipelines and roads into Athletic Park, what other infrastructure is gonna be necessary to make this easy to access for people outside of our community, or even within our community, and what's the actual, I mean, I'm not a marketing expert, but I would just like to see somebody that is a marketing expert actually take a pass on this and say, okay, what is the marketing plan here? What is the potential impact of something like this? Is there any documentation to that effect? Has that study been conducted?
Right, it has not. What I can tell you is that we have visited probably just about 80% of all the major parks in the state of Indiana that have any kind of amenity similar to this or on a scale similar to this that you described. And they've all reported just heavy use, both regional draws as well as internally, of course, from our communities itself. They all indicate, the people that we've talked to, that they have driven several hundreds of thousands of dollars a year directly into the space itself. And that doesn't count what it might look like in terms of people, buying or spending things on
Do we document that?
so forth like that. I'm just telling what's verbally told to us as we visit a lot of people. And so, I can tell you that. And then also, Karen, do you mind one more time? I apologize. You might pass out this too. This is the most recent Ready Grant application, and it does, Pete, have, we won't go into the detail you're asking for, but it does have some descriptions as to the impact and the effect and community impact that it would have on our city with regards to, you're asking about who it would be for. It would be obviously for families, kids, adults. Like I said, it's going to have a kind of year-round approach to it. And then also, obviously, again, would be a regional draw. And so I document that, I have the crystal ball, and I don't. But I think some common sense that this would be a good draw for a lot of folks. And again, I know you'd like to have a bigger return on investment, but this type of project is not necessarily intended to pay for itself, so to speak, in terms of dollars and cents reinvestment back to yourself, but it is intended to bring in, make it more people more willing to invest and bring things into the downtown area because of the investment in doing something like this.
And I respect that. I mean, I know that the jail is going away, and that's pretty prime real estate on that side of the river, so is there, and I know I was part of a small private group a few years ago that was looking at the Blue Bridge to the jail area and looking at doing apartments and, or townhouses and shops and things like that along the riverfront. Is there a broader plan for the riverfront area and how this fits into that broader plan for the overall vision and economic development of the city?
Yeah, on the jail aspect of it, we've been in conversations with the commissioners that we'd like to acquire that piece of property for the future economic development. We'd like to get the jail down. It's an eyesore, obviously. The project you're talking about was prior to the Muslim family built or buying the Wood One property over there originally. I think there has still been some discussions about some apartment build up over there. We did expand through the council, we did expand our, I call it beverage, river district space to be able to include where the jail is and then across the area going down to where the LA San Francisco Jazz, all those buildings were going down that way to be able to open it up to make it more conducive to bringing some business here once we clean up the area and we provide a pool and make things a lot nicer.
So is there a consolidated plan that you have anywhere with marketing studies and all the things that you do or something like this?
There's not in terms of marketing studies. We are working on the consolidated plan, which is wrapping up pretty quickly, which incorporates the athletic park as well as a park master plan that incorporates all of this as part of the sort of a smaller part, even though it's big, but still a smaller part of the overall planning that we have going on.
Pete, I do know that with the jail going, as you mentioned, the jail going,
Can't
there's a
hear.
tremendous opportunity there for creating a connection, pedestrian connection across the river.
Right.
And bringing that into downtown, and I think that's probably, having the park there gives that meaning. If the park's not there, there isn't really a reason to connect, right? We've got a great open field, but there's nothing there. So I think this is the first step to starting that process, and I know that Muslim does have some plans. In fact, they're on file with planning and zoning folks. As far as townhouses, they're in front of one building, but all that's probably not gonna happen unless there's a reason to push this forward. So, and it would be great if we could do a master plan for downtown.
Yep.
But the challenge.
Not only would it be great, I mean, I think
it's important to do it too. But if we wait until we do that, we're gonna miss this opportunity.
and this opportunity is hinged on the $4 million out of $40 million
Well,
based on the
It's
IEDC funds. I know it's 10%.
it
but
certainly helps,
It helps, but-
and more importantly, it's critical as far as timing with the tax increment financing, and that, I say that based on the fact that our consolidated TIF starts to sunset in 2035.
I get that, but why are we just getting this now in November?
Well,
I have been on this council for 10 months and have not seen anything about athletic park.
Well,
Nor has it been raised
part of-
once in a single year.
And that's because we had a pledge in place. We had an existing pledge in place. And as the mayor and the Parks Department worked through the process as far as what this park was gonna look like, it became obvious over the last several months that the prices were gonna be challenging. And that's what has precipitated the mayor coming back and saying, hey, here's what we're gonna try to do, and here's the additional cost, and this is why we need an additional pledge.
When we did Perfecto Tool, for example, it was 1/10 of this amount, and you had 2 or 3 months to work through the process.
Sure.
I don't get this. I'm frustrated. I love the idea of a better city. I love the idea of doing something with athletic park. I'm not saying we shouldn't do this. I don't like the process by which we get into it. And not doing the proper due diligence, not doing the proper study for this level of funding. It's a lot. And it's a lot of it, and it frustrates me that we don't have any kind of marketing study. We don't have any kind of, other than anecdotal verbal data from anybody else saying, this is gonna succeed, and this is why it's gonna succeed. And here's some really hard numbers based on empirical data that we can observe from other similar projects around the state, which I'm sure there are some. But why don't we have that here? Why are we not included in that decision-making process with the information necessary to make an intelligent decision?
Well,
At the last minute, I'm frustrated by that.
Okay,
So-
and that's noted. I would offer for your consideration that a lot of that information for the original project was presented to the development commission prior to.
How many years ago? 5?
I'd have to go back and look.
I mean, the original document says 2020. I mean,
Yeah.
the world has changed dramatically since
And
2020.
that's when you pledged, what, 20 million?
I don't know if it was pledged in
Yes.
2020.
We pledged 20 million, so what happened between the time of 5 years, or 3 years, or 4 years to now where this project doubled? And because we were familiar at that time that the cost
Right.
was gonna be X amount of dollars, which wasn't substantiated with what we have today. And I think for us to come back here, and with that project, might I add, we did have some good planning, and he did bring this, Mayor, you did bring that forward to us, but for us to sit here and look at trying to take $22 million just not seeing a package, that's kind of irresponsible for me to even sit here and entertain something like that without a plan. I hear all the stakeholders, everybody's meeting, but nobody's a bigger stakeholder than the redevelopment commission, which has $38 million pledged to this at the end of the day, Mayor. And that's all we're asking is, these things could have been happened in executive meetings like we've had for the Kenmar projects and other projects. And I think that's where we're missing that disconnect with us and the board. Maybe some others are privy to what was going on, but I know as far as me, see another, $22 million to be discussed? $18 million, which brings up to a total of $38 million, and I had to cram and try to figure out, like, why? I don't know why. How can I explain that to somebody in the city that says, hey, you guys are spending $38 million for a park project when we could have gave, and the school have asked a couple of times for a couple of $1 million, and we built AU out. We've done some other good things in the city, but we're gonna spend $38 million on a project that lasts for 6 months, max. That's a year. So you're looking possibly at a water park, and it's for free. And with that comes with competition. What would bring people in here for $38 million for that to sit here? There's no charge, it's free. And if I ask Doug, where would this sit according to our circuit breaker, the money that we're about to?
This won't have any impact on service. The circuit breaker doesn't impact this.
Okay. So
This would be a TIF bond. This would be a tax exempt TIF bond.
Right, so with being the tip bond, we're not getting anything back out of $38 million, except for people. Okay.
I would disagree with that.
Well, you would disagree with that, but based on what?
What would bring in?
Where's the report showing
I
projected?
don't know that you can produce a report that's gonna show impact to quality of life.
We do that all the time.
It's there.
I don't know how you document it.
Well, what is the
I
percentage
don't know
of
how you
usage?
I don't know how you monetize it. Let me put it that way.
And the question I ask is, what is the percentage of usage for this park on a daily basis? Those are the type of reports that comes with these type of projects, that for X amount of time, this is the percentage rate based upon the kids that we have in school, based upon the amount of household which is in this community, based upon how many out-of-town people that actually come in and travel, based upon the economic value that comes into our casinos and everything else. So those are the reports that we're actually missing to substantiate $38 million. It's tough, along with just seeing this for the first time.
I just want to say one thing. This project and what you have before you, I realize Pete wasn't here earlier on, obviously a few years ago and so forth. Really is no different than the project that was presented to you back when it was presented to you. The difference is that as we work through, and part of what happens, COVID, pandemic, supply chain issues, all the multiple things that happen in between times. But the project is pretty much the same, a little bit of design differences, but as far as the overall purpose, intent, et cetera, none of that has changed. So it's not like this is a completely brand new thing.
No, that's not brand new. The question I asked was, what was the cost then? Was it always the same cost? And what was the cost then, when we pledged the $20 million?
We didn't know what the exact cost would be. At that time, we talked about that. Because
And I think we talked about
it was
it.
early on, so we didn't know.
Yeah.
Obviously, we knew it would be higher, we didn't know how much higher, but we also didn't anticipate, the pandemic and also some of the, delays because of that, and we had delays because of the line relocation and some other things, so. But again, it's not really changed beyond what it was originally.
This is after the pandemic started.
Yeah.
December 8th, 2020 was well into the pandemic. It was not to exceed $20 million. And composite rate under the Biden administration of all inflation from then to now is 23%. Like from combined totals all years, 23%. We're talking 20 million times 23% additional is another, it's called $5 million. We're at double and a half. Double and a third.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think we ever anticipated $125 million. We were always anticipating other funding as well. So, like I said, we're working on ready, but we were also working on our own budget for possible revenue from the general fund as well. So, I think realistically, it was probably more of a $26.7 million project at that time. But obviously, it was what it is now. And that's when you see the template for you to see where those costs are. Like I said, there is certainly some soft costs and contingencies built in that may go away.
But with contingency, who would pay for that?
It could be it would all be part of this entire package. So it would be a combination of whether it's partly general fund, partly ready, partly this. But it's built into the total $45 million contingency.
And what does this look like, Doug, after a pledge like this to the funds?
Well, it depends on how it's financed. Is it financed by bonds or cash or a combination of both? Probably a little bit of both, so that's really kind of hard to say exactly.
So why wouldn't we have that information today if we're already sitting here looking at?
Well, I think it says in the resolution that this can be financed by bonds, it's been some reference to that under
It's basically the same resolution that was passed previously. Same way, there's some financing opportunities.
Doug, what's our current debt service on an annual basis off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head, that's not gonna be very good, probably. I better look at it and get back to you on that.
Okay.
But the honest truth is, on this, we have not really incurred long-term TIF commitments, really over the 8 years plus of this administration. It's only been paid down over time, with many of the bonds rolling off. In fact, the 2018 B bonds as refinanced will roll off in February of next year.
Right.
So we're freeing up more cash flow that way.
According to this report, we're about $6.4 million a year.
Yeah, that's about right.
That is, and our annual revenue at this point is about 22 million.
Right. About how much?
22.
So basically, we're taking a year away.
And growing. And growing by about $1 million, $1.5 million a year. And it'll take a significant jump as soon as we get stake in the ground, as soon as Phil starts paying taxes, etc. So I take your point, and I appreciate the frustration. I understand that you would like to get more involved in the process, and that's probably something we need to address. But I stand on what I said earlier. I think this is a critical component to the process of rebuilding downtown. Without this, I don't think you're going to, okay, the jail goes away. What are we going to do with that? If we have this as a draw, then that property becomes extremely attractive for private development for restaurants, maybe even some apartments.
So we're putting the cart before
Well, I don't know,
horse.
I don't know.
Same situation.
I don't know which is the horse and which is the cart, Andy. I don't know whether it's chicken or eggs, but I know if you don't have this as a draw, that's gonna be practically meaningless. And I don't think Mustin's gonna go ahead with the townhomes. Now, are those dependent on this? To some degree, I think they probably are. And then the opportunity to rebuild and redevelop the rest of downtown, because you've got another reason for people to come downtown. Finally, because of the music that we have in the park during the summertime, finally because of some good restaurants and bars and activities, we've got people coming downtown. I think this enhances that tremendously. So from that perspective, from a quality of life standpoint, I think it's the right project at the right time. Do we need to do a better job of collaborating with you? Yeah, we do.
What about the residents that live in that community? We did a study with them and asked them.
Well, we certainly talked with them, and the fact that something's gonna happen there that's attractive, that it's gonna be a safer space, right, because it's gonna be well lit, that's very attractive to those folks. In the process of trying to build a bridge or linkage to Anderson University, again, I think this is a critical part of that. So I appreciate the frustration, I really do. We need to do a better job of that. But I think this is the right project at the right time, and I think it will do great things for our city.
I'm not saying it's not the right project, I'm saying the amount of the project coming from our side as far as being the redevelopment commission there. That's all I'm saying. Quality of life should be enhanced. Don't get me wrong, but to spend another $18 million for the quality of life, I could spend another $5 million with the quality of life of ACS, and we really have some probably bang for our buck with our school systems.
We've asked ACS for proposals.
Yeah.
And the statute requires that they give us a proposal.
Yeah, and I understand that. Yeah.
And we've asked multiple times, that hasn't happened.
So,
But I mean, I'm not gonna want. Yeah, it is. Find me a construction project that isn't. I can
well,
tell you.
I'm not saying the construction project. I'm saying there's no money coming back after $38 million. That's and again, you can weigh it in on anticipation that we do get people coming into our city.
Yeah.
Hopefully, and we just say hopefully based upon that. But true data would say Papilla has a splash pad, Marion has a splash pad, Fisher has one, even Pendleton has one. So the question is,
you want our people to drive there?
No, what I'm saying is, we're talking about what's been presented is that people will come to our city when there's layoffs right now, people are losing jobs, economic times are down. So I'm looking at it from that standpoint, that without no money coming in to reinvest, and we're only basing it upon the hopes of people coming into the city based upon our economic times right now, I think that's a little bit stretching for something that we're gonna say we're gonna put this here, but we don't have enough. Okay, we're gonna hope that there's some apartments coming here, or we're gonna hope somebody buy the jail, and I agree, but how many years down the road would that be? You know what I mean? I mean, that's where the planning comes in, that says, hey, we put this park here. We've already got it, and it maybe is something that I don't know. Maybe there is a plan that says that, and we don't know. I don't have it. So with that being said, I can't see the future.
I can't either.
Right, but I can't even see a plan for the future, and that's the part I'm saying. You're saying, well, we can hope, but is there anticipation that we're talking to these other individuals, or collaboration that's being done that says here? You guys just, Harris, excuse me, but you guys just brought this to us, and we just got.
I guess I don't feel that way, because like I said,
it
was presented some years ago, and like I said, talked about
Right.
time, and kind of had an idea where we were going with it.
And
The issue is the final cost, is what we're talking about.
And I was here then.
Not really a change in, I mean, nothing's changed between those two, other than the fact that prices have went up and the cost of this.
But not that much, Mayor. I'm putting in new plants right now all across the United States and even down in Mexico, brand new. And I understand the cost right now, trust me, and I understand
Can you
the
build a splash
material.
pad for us?
Pardon?
Can you build a splash pad for us if you got a better?
I got water hose and we'll hook it up.
Let me ask a question. You guys keep talking about the people coming in. What about the people that live here? I mean, there's a lot of people that live in Anderson, Indiana, that would love to have something like athletic park.
How many people?
Well, how do you know how many people?
That's what we're saying.
Wait a minute, now wait a minute, I listen to yours, I listen to
I mean,
yours.
I'm gonna listen.
No, wait, let me say, that you don't know how many people it's going to be because there's no figures to give that. There's no figures to say how many people. I go by Madison Avenue daily, and I'm telling you, Pete, if you're not seeing anybody down Madison Avenue
It's about 5 people, 7, 5 people, it's down.
they're there playing every day. There's kids playing at that park every day. That's just on one side of town. I've talked to the people that live over here on this side of town. I've talked to their councilmen. They're all looking forward to something coming to the athletic park. I think that what you guys are saying is right. What's to say it's going to bring them in? But what's to say what's already here would have something to do to bring more people in? Now I don't like the idea that we didn't get it done the first time around. But it's not his fault. It's not our fault. It's the fault that everything went up. And it's got, I definitely think this is a plus for Anderson is to put this athletic park in. I really do. Whether you want to talk about the come or you want to talk about who's coming or any of that stuff, you gotta sit here and think. First of all, let me ask one more question. How much money do we have in TIF?
Right now, what is it, 87 million, first cash balance?
And if we bond this, if we bond this $18 million at $2.5 million a year, and how much are we bringing in a year?
Assuming that we
Between
have-
21 and 22.
Okay,
Between 21 and 22 million.
We're bringing in 21 or 22 million a
We're
year.
spending 6.
The man's asking for a bond. He's not asking for all cash. The man's asking for a bond that could take $2.5 million a year for 20 years, but at the same time, it would be done, and we'd still have $70 million in the TIF fund.
And I appreciate the fact that you say, well, I can't see that, right? I do get that, but I will tell you this, if we hadn't widened and industrialized 73rd Street a long time before Nestle or GTI or anyone else showed up, they wouldn't be there now. They wouldn't, no, wait just a second. And at that point, Pete, when I came back in 2012 to start this process, we had $3 million in the TIF account. What's the balance now?
67.1 million as of October 31st, with roughly 6.5 million, just shy of that, in the bond interest fund, which is an aggressive funding of that fund.
And that
We've
doesn't
got
count-
like 3 payments worth of money there.
That doesn't count the ARC account, and that doesn't account the fall draw.
That is correct, right.
So
When we
when you add all that
money-
together, you're well over $90 million.
When we get that money here.
From $3 million.
So tell me.
And we couldn't, in 2012, we couldn't see that.
So
But
tell me,
I
what
was
do you
here
want to
with
do?
you at that time. But at that time, we devised a plan. If you remember, myself, Richard Symmes, Ashley Symmes, Ashley, yeah, what's his name? Colette,
Yeah,
Mike Colette, Kevin. But we split up the city and brought in projects.
We did.
But we're not seeing that now because we all were on the same point. I haven't been in any discussions about any of this except on Tuesdays. I get it Fridays, and then I'm here on Tuesday. But we had executive sessions where we all came in and we all split the city up.
And I asked for an executive.
And we brought these things in, and we were never really blindsided, and we did it collectively where we kind of agreed. We didn't agree in the meetings, but when we brought here a meeting of the mind, sat at the table, and those issues that we're having now kind of went away, because when we leave here, I know the first thing I'm gonna get a question is, why are you spending another $18 million and Needler's not open. That's gonna be the first question as soon as I hit this parking lot.
And you don't have an answer for him?
I don't have an answer.
I have an answer. I have an
It's
answer.
not ready yet.
It's
Like,
not
and I said I won't
But they
until
got,
December.
but they got signs.
But you and I both know it's coming, they got the hiring signs.
They got the hiring signs out there, so Needler's is coming.
But
And another thing is, we got all this money, what do you wanna do with it? I think it's something to produce for the city.
Yes.
It's gonna promote the city. That's what we're doing here, is
If
to promote the
you
city.
heard anything else coming out of my mouth, you heard me wrong. What I am saying is, we spent 3 months figuring out whether or not to put money in the Perfecto tool with a PowerPoint presentation and financials and all the other stuff, and we have none of that.
And I know
And
people
we're
weren't here then, but we did.
10x.
We had all that.
10x.
We had that and we gave the amount.
But
We
now-
did
I didn't have that.
We
Where-
gave
where is that?
We gave that
And
amount.
how do I have access to that?
And
I was
we
here.
gave that amount, but now, it's not enough money.
But you can't, if it's, that's where Pete is saying. At the time, the plan, we did and worked the plan, $20 million. We pledged that because we seen the plan. And
We
it
knew
was,
that
and it was
wasn't gonna
brought
be
by the
enough.
mayor in a timely manner.
And we knew that wasn't gonna be enough.
So if you didn't.
At
if
what
you
point did we
didn't-
decide that? Well, not while I've been here.
We did not, at the time we gave the $20 million, think that was gonna be enough money to build this park. And
But that was our share, because on the sheet, we stated, that's why we're back here today, we stated specifically and unequivocally, right here, it
Not to
says,
exceed.
not to exceed, because our plan and the plan we had that was brought to us was that amount. Only thing we're saying was, this plan here, we didn't get the same respect we got prior to now. Even though the prices went up, we still didn't get that respect, Mayor, to be included about, hey, the prices have went up. This is where we're looking at. This is what we're doing. What we get today is, this is the same outline. I agree. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. And it's the same question I had then. $20 million for a free park. But now the $20 million is $38 million for a free park 3 years later. And
It was 5 years ago.
Well, I do want to clarify something, and that is that our view of this now is that there will be aspects of the park that will be quote free, but there will be aspects of it that aren't, because after our meetings with different groups I was talking about earlier, it became very clear that I'm only sensitive to the community we live in and their income needs and availability, but we think as we attract other folks into the community, that there will be an avenue to be able to have reasonable charges that will help fund part of the project, not necessarily the dollars and cents capital of it, but the operations of it. And we previously set aside funding in our park budget to work towards the operational part of it, but we'd like to try to recoup some of that too. So there will be some charges, won't all be free. Certainly the aspect of the aquatic part of it that's tied to the lazy river and all that sort of thing, that will be charged. The person will have to have a ticket to do that.
And that's the part that we were asking. We needed that plan. We don't have that plan. The only thing we know is, and from the first time, it was free. There was none of that aspect included in that package from 2020, December of 2020. So what you're saying today is now there's gonna be another hitch to it, which now says that we can recuperate. We always knew that there was gonna be some extra operating expenses by attendance, lifeguards and all of that. And we asked that question back then, who's gonna pay for that? Those were questions we asked back then, Mayor. Who's gonna pay for those lifeguards? Who's gonna pay for those attendants that run the concession stands? Are you gonna build out the concession stand? Those were the things that we asked now, and it was free. And so now we're hearing, after we sat on this for about 30 minutes, that there is gonna be some charge to it. And that's the plan that we're asking for. Show us that plan. Show us that. this beautiful park, and at the gated beginning that this park over here is free, but this park will have the contingency of where you're gonna have to pay. That's what we're looking for, to be able to tell our constituents in the community that, yes, we're gonna have this beautiful park. Yes, it's here for you and for others, but yes, there may be an expense. That's being upfront, visual. So now I know that, hey, it's not free. I can recoup not all the money, not even a fraction of the cost, but there is some buy-in from the community of paying some portions of that besides out of our TIP funds. That's what we're saying. And bring this to us in a timely manner so we can kind of digest it instead of digesting on the run or just digesting it in a few minutes and getting bits and pieces of it. And if you could do that and bring that back and we could table this and hold an executive session.
Then do that, we usually ready
When is the ready money due? By December what, 31st?
It has to go in pretty quick. I don't know what you did.
They wanted I think it's in the document, I think it is. I had told them that we would have it, in December, so I told them the next redevelopment commission that we would do it before, so. I think that I told them that I was thinking that the next meeting might be in December, but obviously it's telling them November. And I'm not gonna have the gate right in the potential or anything like that, I can just tell you that the park department through, which is on a separate tax rate, the park department, we previously set aside monies for operations. We'll continue to carry that over, this, last year, this year, I'm sorry, from 25 to 26. And so we've set about an extra $400,000+ in that budget in anticipation. It wouldn't all be applicable to this project, but to make sure we're planning for the, like you said, the lifeguards and the number of people that you need there, which obviously is going to be additional jobs too, but not huge paying jobs with additional jobs. So.
The Parks Department is familiar with this plan. The question is, when did they get that?
I know that President Williams, who's sat in on some of the planning sessions that we have with HWC and so forth, in the past. So it's really been project and a process, really.
And I asked that, Mayor, because I think we should have been there for some of that meeting portion of it. We understand this do fall under the Parks Department, but I just believe the Parks Department only giving away $2 million approximately with maintenance and fees, but we're giving away $20 million and didn't get a chance to sit in on it. So this is sour taste right now. I don't have anything else.
Steve, you got anything to say?
I mean, basically, it is the same project, unfortunately, we didn't have enough money the first time. So to say we didn't know about it is not true. I feel for you, Pete, that you weren't here when the original was brought. I went through the same thing with Bingham. I wasn't here when that money was given out, and then I had to deal with it for 4 or 5
I
years.
understand, but we is defined as each commission, each year is in the commission. So, having one more month at least to review data and ask questions and things like that, I think is completely appropriate. We should have been, if this was a deadline that we needed to get done by the end of November, we should have been showing this in September or October. Especially if it really hasn't changed in 5 years. It hasn't changed in 3 months. This projection shows February of this year, February 14th, 2025. That's how long.
This is the drawing.
Okay. Well, that's 90% of what we're.
I know that they were asked, they did, the team that was designing, doing the 30% design, was asked multiple times to find ways to cut costs. That's been a constant thing over the course of the last 10 months.
The other question I have is, Kenny, what's your relationship with the Parks Department?
I'm on the park one.
You're on the park board. I mean, I don't know, I'm not an attorney, but it doesn't seem like you should be able to vote on this, since this is a direct impact to the park board.
Mike, are you online?
Yeah, online.
So the question that Pete has asked is, since Andy sits on the park board, does he have a conflict of interest that would keep him from voting on this resolution?
I think there's a legal conflict of interest now between the two. They're two totally independent boards, two totally different functions.
And there's obviously no pecuniary conflict.
Yeah, and these are volunteer positions too.
Both of them, yeah.
What's volunteer? Park board's not volunteer.
Yeah, I mean, what do you mean volunteer?
Well, it's not, these are not paid positions.
Park board is a paid position.
Yeah, the park board. ARC is a paid position and park board is a paid position. They're paid.
Park board gets paid.
If you tell Danny you're
You
getting
can tell
paid, he's
Danny
not
if
gonna
you
be
get
happy.
paid, because he's been trying to get a golf membership for like 7 years. You don't get paid for this.
Yes, I do.
From who?
You wanna see my W-2?
Yeah. I would love to.
You've got a W-2 for this?
Yes. And for merit commission, I get paid for both of them.
Who's that?
Well, Danny, you got about 30 years back pay,
Well,
that's definitely-
Danny, well, do Ike's vote on it? He's the superintendent of the park department.
the case, he won't be there.
Ask him that,
Let's get some low
or tell Pete that. He's park superintendent.
Well, then it's an incorrect accounting. There's no.
He volunteering.
pay for your help.
The statute allows for it, but it's never been adopted,
Okay.
So Mike, the question is, do you see a conflict of interest as far as Kenny is?
Well, let me ask, is that incorrect? Is there payment for a park board member?
Yes,
Yeah.
Park board gets paid.
that's right.
Okay, and I understand correctly. That's.
They don't obviously benefit financially from this project or any other project for that matter.
Well,
That's the essence of conflict of interest is you're working at cross purposes between the two boards. And I don't see that is the case here. I do not think there's a legal conflict of interest to prevent Jenny from voting on this matter at a park board meeting and then voting as an ARC member on this matter as a member of the commission. I don't think there's an issue there now.
Mike, what would entitle a conflict of interest?
If for example, you had an interest in a construction company that was doing some of the work where you benefited monetarily from your vote,
That's the attorney.
would be an example. Here your job is to serve the public interest in both positions. And it strikes me that there's no conflict between what the park board would be voting on for this type of project and what the ARC would be voting on. You're just not working at cross purposes when you're analyzing, the data that comes in front of you and casting your vote on the two boards. So I just don't see, and there's certainly no benefit that Kenny would have. Doesn't have any advantage to him personally or his family
by voting one way or another, for this type of project. Yeah, just in just terms of a classic conflict of interest analysis, I just don't see that there's anything to worry about in this, for this particular vote.
And just to clarify, I'm sorry to tell you, but just to clarify, we got my emails here from the survey folks, and they were initially as a November 1 matching financial obligations sort of set by December 1st.
December
I was
1st.
trying to find the letter where I said, tell me about the timelines on it.
So, that's my concern, is that if you kick it back to December, you're something
And how much is that?
$4 million.
How is
A
it?
chunk, a chunk. Yeah, I know, it's another $4 million we're gonna come up with, if we get it.
If we get it.
Well, I think your chances are about 5% there.
Mike, so, back to Pete's question, just, so there isn't any, we could sit on any other board within the city and still be able to sit on this board and vote, correct?
Well, I think, yeah, first, I mean, it depends on the functions, but these, it seems to me that the ARCs, their function is to promote economic development.
Right.
The park department is to, promote and operate recreation facilities for the community, which is a form of economic development. But I think they're, again, they're not working contrary to one another. I think for the most part, one can sit on two different boards. And I think if you start getting paid for different boards, you run multiple paychecks, it may be
Called
different issues.
ethics.
If you get paid on different boards, under certain circumstances, you can't serve on multiple boards that receive pay. It's considered dual employment. It's obviously minor amounts. There's some statutory exceptions with the Development Commission, and there is also some Attorney General opinion letters regarding some of the boards not being Mike, what's the term of art they use on lucrative jobs? Some of these jobs
Dual lucrative offices.
lucrative, even though they're paid. There's a lot of inconsistency in these decisions, but there are some exceptions on that. But if you serve on, for example, you can serve on the safety board. One of the exceptions, for example, I was talking about exclusions, is the Board of Public Works is not exempted from serving in other positions, even though they're paid as members of the Board of Works. But that's a statutory uniqueness of the statute of the Board of Works.
Thank you, Mike, I just wanted to make that note of the vote for this about once a year.
We ought to clear up,
And I do think there's a statute that specifically applies to ARC, because of the fact that these are non-paid positions.
Danny.
Okay.
No, what did he say?
Question from the gallery?
What's if there any other members of the commission got any questions? Okay, I'll take questions from the audience. It's not gonna be a long speech. You know the rules. You wanna do it, do it. Kelly?
Thanks for that, welcome. Kelly, I live at 2412 East 200 North, Anderson, Indiana, 46012. I did have a question regarding the lack of quality of life metrics that were not used in preparation. My question has to do with the Ready 2.0 application, where we as an administration committed to this double price tag, or this price tag that was twice as much as the first one. So my question is, really for Greg Winkler, how in your position can you say that you don't know how to measure quality of life metrics when you're part of the READY grant in this project? Here in East Central Indiana, the READY grant in particular helps you outline what those quality metrics would be. They have to do with housing, they have to do with amenities, feeling part of a community, housing, stability in neighborhoods. So what conversations has there been that contributed to the grant that committed us to $42 million? There's not been any conversation about that?
I believe it has, I believe it's in the document that the next
Can you speak up?
Has this commission seen that READY 2.0 application?
I don't believe they have until right now.
Oh, you have it now? Does he have a copy of it? Does he have a copy of it?
Thank you, Kelly. Anybody else got a question?
And just to clarify, if I understood Kelly's request, it's really kind of where it came down. So originally, when we joined CERTA originally, when Governor Holcomb was in office, he was a big proponent of the READY program. And originally, READY 1, was using basically ARPA dollars. And so, like the ARPA dollars that were used here, they were under lots of rules and regs and stuff like that. And at the time, what Governor Holcomb had envisioned was that there would be 10 different districts, regions, if you will, in the state, and each one would be eligible to apply for up to $50 million. So they were pretty big price tag things. A lot of the communities that applied didn't fully understand that that was part of the ARPA process, if you will. And so when it was all said and done, a lot of communities didn't get really anything out of that first go around. And we were fortunate that when we applied, and this is going back in time now, probably 2 years or so at least, if not longer. When we applied at that time for, I can't remember the figure, but I think it was 3 or 4 million, whatever I recall. But anyway, they granted us $1.5 million. And we focused it, we basically had all this that you see here as part of the package, but we also incorporated the positive aspects that were going to happen for the given. So the elimination of the 2 CSOs. But we also explained the way we had to have the line moved, the water line moved. So we got that award, and so we spent that. In the meantime, new governors came into office, new law changes occurred. They did not have ARPA dollars left anymore, obviously, just like we don't. And so what they decided to do was to fund through state funding the READY 2.0 projects. And so people reapplied. This time they were more mindful of the rules and regs. Same rules and regs don't apply though, because it's no longer ARPA dollars. There was a lot of focus on quality of life. There were several tranches, kind of like what Kelly's talking about, that they were looking at, and quality of life was one of them. This obviously focused on that. Some of the folks that turned in grant requests focused on housing, different aspects, different things, and so. When we applied, we obviously were still focused on the park and athletic park. When we applied for the second round, so to speak, with this 2.0. By then, we had Governor Braun in place. Also, there's been a change up with the Indiana Economic Development Corporation, IEPC, which is sort of what we're seeing, the scoring, if you will, of all this stuff. And so they have in recent times started to shift away from the quality of life stuff, and they're looking at other things. That's mainly because, I can't speak for them, but I think it's because Governor Braun's viewpoint on things is different than Governor Holcomb's was. But we didn't pledge anything here towards that. Obviously, if this falls apart and we don't have funding here, then obviously we won't take $4 million from them over here. That means we'll be obviously on the phone to them, telling them, hey, we're not gonna have the funding we thought we were gonna have, and so that will free them up to take that to somebody else. But we didn't pledge anything to them to make those applications.
Yeah, you didn't have to commit a matching amount to proceed,
No.
not at that point?
Well, they want as many matches as they can get, obviously. At one point, that's another thing that, I don't want to say it's related, but it's just a part of the practical reality. At one point, we were also working with Amherst University. They were in the process of trying to get a Lilly grant. They had gotten awarded a small Lilly grant to be able to do studies and reviews and so forth. And but then when they actually made their application, which included part of this project as well, they were going to be a partner as well. But when they didn't get their Lilly grant, then we had to amend our application to back that out, which also caused us to have an increase that we were going to have to get funds from some of those sources because of AU going away. Yeah, I'm looking here just real quick, just to let you know, project types under the Liddy grant are things like arts and culture, child care, education, housing, outdoor spaces, talent, attraction, tourism, water and sewer, broadband, commercial mixed use, hospitality, innovation, entrepreneurship, redevelopment, trails and parks, workforce development, for jobs for parks. So we obviously, workforce development, jobs for parks, trail and parks, redevelopment, CSO elimination, White River, that's what we've added, water and sewer, talent attraction, tourism, and outdoor spaces, and arts and culture. So all those check boxes are part of this project, which includes both, there's three rated goals: quality of opportunity, quality of life, and quality of place. And these hit the quality of life and quality of place aspects of it. So that's what our grant was about with Ready 2.
Thank you, Kelly.
Yep.
The next thing?
Yeah, and I will say this is my first time at this meeting, so if there are rules that I need to be aware of, I may need to be informed.
They're posted right there.
Well, I didn't know that.
But
Okay,
you go,
excellent.
You go ahead and say your name and address.
Great. Sherilyn Horning, 1708 Main Street, 46016. How about I just ask my question, and if I violate a rule, you can let me know. How about that?
That works for me.
I am very interested in the conversation this evening and really appreciate Mr. Vitar's question and concern about process. And one of the pieces of process that I'm especially concerned about is I'm very curious about the community input to this project. As I just heard Mayor Broderick read, there's a lot of opportunities with this Ready grant specifically, including housing, childcare. Those were a couple that education, right, that came up as he read that list of eligible applications. And I am connected in the nonprofit sector here in this community, have been for over 20 years. And as one example, United Way just did a survey of organizations, which I participated in, and concerning things that came up for our community and county did not include a water park or outdoor spaces. It included things like education, childcare, transportation, food access.
Housing.
And so I'm really curious, again, with the way that this has transpired, I guess I'm curious, what kind of community input has there been? Because I'm getting conflicting messages even around the table about, is this a regional draw or is this for our residents? And I would just say, if it's for our residents, to charge them. Again, we know the demographics and the economic status of many of our citizens. That's going to be probably a stretch. And so once again, who is this for, right? Who is benefiting from this project? And it's a lot of money. And I would just say, I have concerns as a nonprofit professional, as somebody who's in Anderson High School every week doing tutoring with students. We have a lot of pressing issues that a water park isn't going to fix. And I'm not saying I'm all for quality of place. There are things like that will absolutely improve the economics of this community. But when we have so many other concerns, I'm just so interested with the process of why for the last 5 years this has felt like the top priority for this many millions of dollars. If we have, and I wrote down the numbers, but I may be wrong, 67.1 million plus sitting in TIF, where else can that go? And I'm just concerned that there hasn't been community input. And so that's my question. Has there been community input besides people that are paid by the city of Anderson to contribute to this plan in front of you all that it sounds like, again, many of you are just seeing for the first time?
Is that your question?
It is, yes.
And the answer to your question is yes, there has been community input.
Can I get some feedback about what that is specifically? Because I'll be honest, I've never had an opportunity to give feedback about any of this, and I'm a pretty engaged citizen,
When did
sir.
they do
I
community
don't mean that
input?
snarky, I just mean,
When did they have
if there had
community
been an
input?
opportunity to give input to what is happening at a flooded park, I actually would have showed up. I showed up with comp plan feedback 18 months ago, which we still don't have a result from. So I am really curious what kind of community input and from who, besides folks that are paid by the city of Anderson with our tax dollars. Can you tell me when?
Yes, we have them right out here in the law.
Not where, when? I'm really curious when.
I can't give you a date, man.
Who could? Yeah, who could? That
Nobody.
is my question. Like, I really would love a specific answer because I hear a lot of vague answers. And timeline-wise, once again, to the point of being presented with a project here, I don't know anyone in my sphere of influence in this city that had input to this plan. So I really am curious, not when or not where, but like legitimately when. When did those feedback sessions happen?
I can't give you an answer.
Kenny, did you guys have anything to the Parks Board on the right department? I think that's her question, is that posted there.
For that meeting, so we have
Like in 2025 or like 2020?
That's a bunch of bull. They ain't had no
Okay,
meetings.
so that's where I would just say, as a community member, when, like, this plan that sits in front of this group right now, that is partial free, partial pay, lazy river, outdoor venue, I would love to know who was a part of that input because it was the middle of the pandemic. If you're talking 22, I'm concerned that the city.
I'm not giving you a date, ma'am, but I appreciate your question, and we'll try to get you an answer. And I don't have an answer for you tonight, but I will try my best to find you an answer.
How can I get you my info so you can give me a call?
You can just get, here's my phone number, 749-1820.
Oh, hold on. Go ahead.
74, I'm an auctioneer, I'm sorry. I thought you were-
Yeah, thank you.
749-1825. I will try my best to get a hold of somebody that can tell you when we had their meetings up here. But I know they were there. I was attending. So that's your questions answered.
I would love that, and I would love to see the results of that, to know that if this plan, if it matches the input that was given. So maybe you can ask that, whoever confirms the time and date of that. That would be great. Thank you, sir.
Any other
Hey,
questions from the
there
audience?
was no meetings up here. We did nothing.
Okay. No other questions?
I got something to say.
Okay, Rebecca, what do you want? Tell what you got to do.
No, I just want to say about the community input.
Do it the right way.
The right way and the legal way, I can say my name, but I'm not giving no address.
You read the rules.
You can't supersede state laws.
Sit down.
I've already consulted with the state. I don't have to give my address. I'm not giving my address, but what I'm going to say is whatever community input y'all had, people don't feel comfortable coming up here because of people like you. And you have these meetings that don't nobody show up, 2 or 3 people, and the people that y'all pay, and then say that you've got community input. There's hundreds of people that don't have a clue. So I'll sit down when I get ready to sit down. I'm sick of you. That address is not mandatory by the state. They said you cannot override. Get your attorney on that thing. Well, they told me. Well, he need to look that up. Then maybe he missed a class or something. But I know you ain't gonna argue with me. But I'm not taking over the meeting. But I'm gonna say what I gotta say. I know you. No, I got one more other thing to say too. You talked about him being on the park board. You got Mr. Ikes, the park superintendent, and the board of works chairman All that involves these contracts, subcontracts, when you're getting ready to do all this millions of dollars worth of work. Some of that may be coming through the Board of Works. And I want to know, is that a conflict of interest? And if it's not, it's the ethics of it. Ethical when you got one person doing 10, 15 jobs. So I'll sit down when I get ready to sit down.
Mike, can you answer his question again, please?
Mike, are you there?
Yes, yes.
Could you explain to her the rules that were wrote by the commissioners are the ones that goes on in this meeting?
Yeah, and those rules are all, they are all perfectly legal. There's a debate about whether you can require an address or not.
There's no debate. They've already said that you cannot require an address.
Rebecca, no, that's not correct.
Well, that's what I was told.
There's not even a right for public comment.
That's for safety reasons.
When the commission receives public comment, it can impose reasonable rules. Now, if the commission wants a speaker to provide their address, that is permitted. Some boards do it, some boards
It's
don't.
permitted, but it's not mandatory. You can't tell me to sit down because I don't give my address. Now, that's what I was told by the state, and I'm standing by that.
I work for this commission.
Well, I don't know who you work for, but I'm going to sit down when I get ready to sit down. How about that? Well, I'm going to stand up just for that.
If this is approved, how quickly would we see any work begin?
I'm thinking you're looking spring.
Spring of next year? And how long would it take to complete?
There may be some preliminary work in the early part of the year on the demo of the pool, but it depends on that, of course.
So it'd start next spring potentially and be done in about a year?
I think you're looking at a year and a half to 2 years.
Thank you, Mayor.
We're looking at probably two, how these were phases, but
I can't hear.
the aquatic part would be done on the second telling, or the first part of it, which would be the trails and the playground stuff and all that would be done on the front end.
Thank you, Mayor.
Motion to approve ARC 06-25.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. We're going to take a roll call vote.
Richard Symmes,
Yes.
Danny McGee,
No.
Kenneth Davenport,
Yes.
David Pikes,
Yes.
Pete Petard.
No.
You two. Passed. 3-2 is passed.
Did they vote on that?
Yeah.
Did they read it?
We'll get that information, but also we'll make sure that, and I apologize that it wasn't done sooner, but to be honest, I felt like the thrust of the project had already been fully vetted in front of the commission previously. The real issue was whether or not the commission felt comfortable about, additional funding for it, which obviously I had to come and ask for, so, that's why I did what I did. But as far as feeling like there was additional information I had to give beyond the fact that costs have been out, there really wasn't much else I could add, so.
And I would like to know, for those out there, basically, number one, as the mayor just stated, some of the information that could have been provided wasn't provided to me at ample time, which didn't give me enough time to actually take in everything of the whole project. Second thing that is the extra cost of the project. If we budgeted $20 million during that period of time, I would have liked to seen possibly some other plan, maybe more downsizing than what we had. The third part of it is the community input. The community input based upon $38 million should have had several chances of the community coming in stating their thoughts and bringing back what they think would be reasonable for this size of the project. Fourth of it is the quality of life. The quality of life meaning that the priorities that this board look at and spend our money on. I think the lady brought that up, that there's other things that we do get money for, but we've never given any type of money like this for a water park. And I say that because as I look at this project and I think more about it, this project and the use of it will only be less than 4 months. And I say that being likely because June, school ends on the middle of June. School starts back the first week of August. So the usage of this pool and water park for basically the hours of input almost doesn't justify the cost of the project, because we could hire people for the month of May, even college students, but they're going back to school actually in August, which now says our demographic and people have dwindled down, and basically this would become almost a weekend type facility. And I say that based upon fact, which if you look at your water parks, the moment kids go back to school, they're closed. That's a matter of fact. That's not me bringing this up in the air, pulling it out of anywhere. Fact is, once college kids go back to school, water parks are closed during the weekday. And amusement parks. And that really concerns me. And I'll just leave it at that.
Let's go on to, action on the draw number 10, so Piedmont.
Commissioners, you have in front of you the latest draw request from Kenmark, which includes a significant amount of cooling equipment, refrigeration for the Kenmark grocery store, as well as the invoice from Quote Builders, their pay application number 5. So the total as reflected in this draw is $786,146.52. And you also have the report from our construction observation team that the Michael McDonald of KRM Architects, who has inspected the property, inspected the construction, and got his notes regarding the construction observation report. He agrees with the percent complete and agrees with the request for the month. So, any questions you have some pictures as well.
When are they saying now that the open date will be, I know they're hiring?
Yeah, I don't have a specific date as far as open. What I do have is the punch list being scheduled, I believe, for first week of December, so next week we'll walk through the punch list as far as all the built improvements. And then it becomes a process of making sure that the equipment is installed. And then, of course, the stocking process. As we learned with ACE, it takes a while to stock a store. So it took ACE about 3 weeks, and they had 35 to 40 people that got their full time. I would anticipate it will happen before the end of January, but I'm not sure. I don't have a date certain. Sorry.
Well, no, that's good.
Yep.
Sorry, I missed the ACE grand opening. I was in merit commission interviews, so doing city business with someone else. I would move that we approve draw 20 for the Kenmark project for $786,146.52.
I second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Number 7, action on the 2026 spending plan.
So, Commissioners, you do have in front of you a copy of the proposed spending plan for the coming year, as is required by the Department of Local Government Finance, I believe, is the agency that requires this. You see the debt payments as listed, which John has shared with us. And then you see the specific projects and what we anticipate would be dollars involved for those projects over over the course of 2026 and then moving into 2027 as well. So open to any questions you might have.
So here again, we're at $74 million out of our total of 83.
That's correct.
So we're gonna be pretty depleted up here.
No, that won't be cash.
Okay.
Won't be cash. So, in fact, we're required for any of the taxable issues, we are required to do TIF bonds. So fit will not be, and we should have the TIF bond here within the next several months as far as fit is concerned. SICA, that TIF bond won't even be due until they reach their occupancy permit completion, which is estimated at this point to be probably the second quarter of 2027, based on their construction schedule. So it'll be mid to late 2027 before that bond is sold. Again, that'll be a $5 million bond. You have some infrastructure dollars there that will be spent out of cash. You go down the line here. Water utility, a portion of that has already been spent, is in the process of being spent. And I don't have the exact number as far as how far we are along in that, but there's a portion that has been spent. There may be a portion of that that gets bonded too, we'll have to see.
What is Project Sam?
So Project Sam is a project that we won some time ago. We're waiting for them to start, to announce the start of construction on that particular project. That is a project that is a food facility that would be located across the street from Nestle. So that's why that property is off the market. I'll be glad to share more about that with you.
Okay, we never, I'm never heard that one.
Yeah, it's the second or third time it's been on its second time.
We're
Yeah.
slow.
Yeah.
We're slow.
So
I think it's the first time I've seen this thing.
no, it's not, we talked about it.
This was adopted, not this exact plan obviously, but this was adopted last year as well, posted to Gateway is required.
I know it's required by DG.
But it was on there last year.
In downtown and west side of the redevelopment is just a blanket $10 million.
At this point, we don't have specifics on that.
Just allocated.
Trying to make sure that money is set aside appropriately for downtown and west side development.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we don't have any breakdown, like fully breakdown. in
No,
terms of
we don't.
on this.
And that's why it's just a spending plan, is to make sure that the money is being allocated accordingly. Perfecto incentive, obviously
We
something.
can do that.
Yeah. Needler's H, you're seeing the last portion that has yet to be spent. Park road improvements, of course, improving Park Road in order to accommodate SICA and other future projects there in Orchard Park. And then the water extension under I-69, which is a project we voted on. IDM just issued permits on that, so construction can start after the 1st of December. And that will open up the other side of the interstate for development, ongoing projects.
Yeah, on the water extension, I did get a constituent from the city called and asked some questions about that. In terms of like impact on local well water for residents that are on well water in that area. This is east of Menards, correct?
No. This would be exit 222.
Yeah.
No, you're talking about exit 226.
Okay, is there something going on in 226 where they're talking about doing a well field west, east of Menards?
There is a well field that's being explored there, yes.
So it's explored, it's not no plans. No expensive. And is that
Anything we do with the water department, as
Yeah.
far as water, we can't do anything that would drain your well.
Yeah.
We have to fix that, or anybody can fix it, anybody has a concern that calls you, assure them, and I would encourage you to have them call them to the superintendent. of the water department.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
We ended up putting some witch comment out there too, didn't we?
We had purchased property.
Well, no, didn't we increase the water flow out there when they were building those hotels?
You're talking about True Hotel, we extended the water.
We extended the water main
Yeah.
for Starbucks.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we've done some things out there.
We definitely need additional water capacity.
Got it.
Okay. Well, I mean, the fact that we're putting in the athletic park improvements, and I voted against that, I'm not sure that I can vote for this. I mean, I'm not sure that, unless we go point by point, you know, say, yeah, I'll take that one, that one, that one, that one, not that one. I don't.
Yeah, and I think that, yeah, my position would be that, as Karen has
Take
said,
it off.
the majority of that has been on the approved. No, it needs to stay on because you just passed, the commission just passed it, so. Other questions, comments?
So we're just making a motion to approve the spending plan, that's what we're doing. I'll make a motion to approve the.
Are you taking
2026
questions?
spending plan.
Actually, motion made.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Yes.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the spending plan for 2026. Commissioners, you got any questions? Audience, you got any questions? Kelly?
Trying to state my name. Thank you. So I was just curious if the document that you just approved or you're about to approve, that spending plan, is that to be made available to the public?
It gets loaded up in the game.
So, yeah, it's definitely, it's always.
Last year should be.
But not at this public meeting? Like, we can't have a copy or look at it to make any other specific questions about it?
You got my copy.
That'd be great.
Can I have a copy?
Thanks.
You got one?
You got an extra one?
And since tip dollars are considered citizen tax, property tax dollars, and this body is kind of in charge of making sure it goes certain places, what are your, do you have a community input plan for these expenditures or these projects as you move through?
No,
Well, I think each one of these, I don't speak out of turn because I'm not on the commission, but this plan doesn't commit, they won't be able to spend for each of these plans without some other approval of this specific project and the exact cost of this entity, this body.
So if you go down the line here, FIT has already gone through that process, that includes city council as well as redevelopment commission. The cycle project as well went through that same process and appeared in front of the city council, public input and participation, as did the infrastructure component. The athletic parks will still have to go through that process through the FIT line. So that again will be in front of the city council for additional public input. The water utility improvement, same situation as far as the public process. When Project Sam gets ready to go, it will have to go through that same process. Again, coming back in front of the redevelopment commission and then city council. That would be true for downtown improvements or west side improvements. Those will have to go through that process. They have yet to. Perfecto did go through that process both before the redevelopment commission and the city council. Needlers went through that process as far as the redevelopment commission is concerned. The park road improvements also went through that process here in the redevelopment commission chambers. And the water extension project under I-69 has also gone through that process again in the redevelopment commission meeting.
So just to clarify, so I understand, so this list, you're putting that forth to the commission to vote on, but it's in various phases of approval. Is that correct?
That's correct.
What's the purpose of doing it in all one list if they're all in different phases?
Was it comply with
It's the
state
statute.
Okay, so it's just simply, it's just to meet a statutory requirement. And again, the only time that I heard in your plan where public input was gonna be an opportunity was if people eventually either come to this meeting or somehow capture it at the city council meeting. There's nothing specific engaging the citizens to get their input outside of one of these already scheduled meetings, correct?
That's correct.
And how do you feel about that plan? Do you feel like that's a good plan that connects with Anderson residents?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Anyone else? Y'all do it too? I'm just curious, Does anyone at this table feel like there needs to be an improvement in engaging with citizens at all? Any of the questions you've been getting over the last 2 or 3 years, do you feel like there's any need for improvement in engaging citizens on projects like this? Anyone?
Let me say this, because I spend a lot of time in this building,
Yeah.
and I engage with a lot of different citizens, and a lot of different
How
projects.
so?
Every day of my life.
Well, I mean,
Including
specifically.
weekends. I've yet to see you come to my office. and ask
Yeah,
me
I won't be
questions.
coming to your
But I've had
office.
many people, I spent my
Yeah.
entire day in
Where's
my
your office at?
engaging with citizens.
Because there's
That's what I do.
mechanisms that you could be using that other communities use all
Did
the
you ask me a
time.
question, did you want me to answer?
Yeah, I'm telling you why we would come to your office, because there's other better mechanisms than a one-on-one like that.
Well, there's more ways to engage than just what Mr. Winkler said, what I'm trying to get conveyed to you. And
I would like to know what those are so I can help
Just-
plug people in. What, show up at your office?
That's one of the ways. I see
Okay.
people, I'm sure Greg sees people all over the place that engage us on these items all the time. What's so funny?
Ooh.
I'm smiling at you. Is it unusual for you to have someone smile at you?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think that David, he does. I sit across from his office, I watch. People come in here all the time with problems and he tries to fix them. I do the same if they come into my office. I know that people call the mayor all the time, he sees them all the time. If you have a problem, you're welcome to come up to the 5th floor
I
anytime.
understand that.
You don't have to go into
I'm
an office.
asking for other options for people who would feel intimidated or would not do that, and that's a bulk of our citizens. The bulk of our citizens could not take out their day in a typical business day to come up to your office and talk to you one-on-one about your projects here. So we're asking, as citizens, some of us here tonight, to really consider your engagement processes so that we feel a little bit more included. And I suppose not shoot you a snarky smile, because it feels that way. We are disenfranchised, and we don't hear about these projects, and when we do and we ask questions, it feels like everyone should have known better because there were 5 meetings back where it was discussed. That's not a good process, and I'm asking, would you consider an improved process?
I don't think I would.
Okay.
Wait a second, how many of these? For clarification, how many of those projects are included in newspaper stories? Is there only one?
I think the only one that had a story on would have been Project Sam.
Yeah. And that's because it's from
Probably
But we're
downtown
talking
Crumes.
about town hall meetings.
Everything else has been in the paper
I'm
several
gonna have to
times.
say that.
I don't know what your readership is, but I'm sure it's declining quite a bit, and so a lot of us don't read the paper. I read it every day. but I
I'm
can
sure our
tell you a lot
readership
of
is
folks
more than
don't.
what some people have on their social media.
I think it's important that there's a variety of ways, and so I would just again ask that you consider some other opportunities.
Do you have some specific recommendations as far as social input?
Oh, I do.
Yeah, I mean, do you want them here today, or do you?
No,
Yeah.
no, probably not today, but
Yeah.
I would be interested in hearing what they are.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Female on
You'll get them.
board.
Thank you.
Female,
Thank you.
female
Yep.
board.
Again, Cheryl and Morning, I would just reiterate what Kelly is saying, that there's a lot of us that care about this community, and we're trying to find ways to engage with our local government and those that represent us. And then I would just acknowledge, right, at 6:40, and our city bus line is now done for tonight. And so anybody that would have come to this meeting now would not be able to get home if they were transportation limited. So just as an example there. I did have a question about, I see Mr. Vitar stepped out of the room. I got the impression that he had not seen this before. Again, Cheryl and Morning, I would just reiterate what Kelly is saying, that there's a lot of us that care about this community, and we're trying to find ways to engage with our local government and those that represent us. And then I would just acknowledge, right, at 6:40, and our city bus line is now done for tonight. And so anybody that would have come to this meeting now would not be able to get home if they were transportation limited. So just as an example there. I did have a question about, I see Mr. Vitar stepped out of the room. I got the impression that he had not seen this before, or if it was just a matter of with the athletic park section. So I'm curious, did this commission put this together?
That's done once a year. He hasn't been on the commission This is yeah, so this will be the first time he's seen that.
So just to clarify, who put this together? Director or president? Because it's to this body and then from, again, first meeting, right? You can consider me ignorant to this process. Who put together this spending plan?
So the majority of that is from last year's spending plan updated with a couple of additions.
And so economic development did that?
Economic development participates in that process, as does the comptroller's office.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then just to clarify, it comes here for you to approve and then to the city council, or it's already been to the council?
To the state.
To the state.
Yeah,
Okay.
and if you go online, the state have a website with the DLGF, which is the Indiana Department of Local Government Finance. And by statute, we actually have to go and place this online every year, I wanna say by, before December 31st, I believe is the actual date, that we actually have to upload this information into that system.
Okay. I appreciate that. It sounds like maybe there needs to be some good onboarding for folks as they come onto commissions to represent the citizens of the community. So I would just offer that as I said. Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions? No, we're gonna take a roll, we're gonna take a roll vote on this too, Karen.
Richard Symmes?
Yes?
Stephen McGee?
No.
Kenneth Davenport?
Yeah.
David Eich? Keith Patel?
No, for the reasons stated.
3-2 passed.
For the reason, basically, the planning for items on this list, haven't had an opportunity to get input on this. Basically, that's what they're saying.
Yeah, let's get a.
I got I don't know why I think ours was the same thing, so.
They gone. The meeting is over, y'all. That's it for tonight. My next meeting, I'll be at the county building Monday. They're having a commissioners meeting, so I'll see you guys then. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Be safe. God bless you all.